We're going to do a few client interactions here, and I want to start with simple and then move into a little bit more complicated or complex. So the first thing we're going to do is actually have Caroline on her side. Now, one thing that you need to keep in mind is that if she's on her side, if we have these right rotations, just like so, and I have Caroline on her left side, right side up, then these vertebrae are going to move like this. And because they are still in right rotation, now the spinous process is going to point downwards. Both of them are going to point downwards towards the table. This isn't going to affect this particular client interaction, but it might affect other ways that you work. So you really need to keep in mind and kind of orient yourself to the position of the vertebra in space when you change your client's position. I'm doing this on a massage table. If you're a Pilates instructor, you can do it on a mat. If you're a yoga teacher, you can also do it on a mat, but you can also, do it on a stretching table or massage table. So let's have you on your side, Caroline, for the first client interaction. So here we have Caroline on her left side, right side up. I am sitting on a stool just to make it a little easier for me. And again, I need to remember that in her case, she had a right rotation somewhere around here, which meant the vertebra was the vertebra was in right rotation. The body's going this way, and the spinous process is now pointing down towards the floor. For this particular interaction, having her on this side or lying down on this side is going to be okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to find those two vertebrae once again. And I'm going to actually start with the one that's more on top. I think it was L2. And all I'm going to do is find each side of that spinous process. That's my first step. So I'm going to use my hand first to find that vertebra. Okay. All right, I believe I'm here. So this is the spinous process. And one thing you don't really get from this model is the three-dimensional structure of the vertebra. And what I mean is that the spinous process of an actual lumbar vertebra may be here, but the transverse processes are actually a little more superior. So what I'm going to do is find the spinous process and then move up a little bit more superior, maybe about a centimeter or so, half an inch. So here is the spinous process. I'm going to just put my thumbs on each side of it. Then I'm going to move about half an inch, a little superior, and then maybe half an inch or a centimeter, a little more lateral. Okay, now I'm closer to the transverse process of the vertebra and thus closer to the facets or facets where one vertebra kind of articulates with the other. So I'm here. I'm not going to put a whole lot of pressure or exert a lot of pressure. I'm really just aiming to influence and gently influence the movement of the facets in this space. And so what I'm going to do is ask Caroline to go into extension and flexion. So some yoga teachers know or yoga practitioners know the cat-cow, that extension of the lumbar spine and then flexion of the spine, pretty much the same thing. Let me find that space again. And what that does is really encourages movement in these facets And what I'm doing is encouraging specific, particular movement of the facets that may be related to the vertebra that is kind of rotated and not in its natural alignment. So, at your pace, Caroline, nice and easy extension, great. And I'm just helping, just like we did with the sacrum, and flexion. Caroline's done this before, so she knows what I would cue, what I would ask of her. And with my clients, I would actually ask them to extend and kind of bend where my thumbs are. I really want movement right in that specific spot. We're only going to do this about 5 times. And go ahead and flex. I'm going to bring my hand underneath just a little bit. There we go. I'm really just helping. You know, all I'm doing is go ahead and stop, get into neutral position. All I'm doing is if I feel that something wants to bend, I'm just helping it bend. And when it bends the other way, I'm just letting it happen. If something wants to bend, I'm just helping it bend. That's all I'm doing. Where was